Great to see you guys.
Hi, Manal.
How are you, Nikki? How are you, Robert?
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, delighted you could join us today to find out a little bit more about what members get from the West London Chamber of Commerce. So please tell us a little bit about yourself and your name, company and role.
Okay, I'm Nikki McKenna and I'm from WSI Digital Advisors, which is a digital marketing consultancy and agency that I run with my husband, Peter.
Excellent.
I'm Rob Ems. My company is Human Sunlight. We are into ultraviolet light, far UVC, human safe, and been a member of the Chambers for 3 years.
Really good. Thank you. So what makes the Chamber special?
I think the passion that comes from Sally and from Alan and from the rest of the team, they really care about helping you to grow your business, to getting you the right introductions, to helping you showcase your brand.
And Robert?
From my perspective, I was actually introduced to the Chambers by a very good friend of mine who'd been a member for some years. And I have to say, when I first started looking, I wasn't sure what the benefit might be. But having met up with Alan and some of the team for coffee, it sort of became clearer that it was really a sort of a local community and resource, and a very sort of friendly place to sort of get interactive with. So it wasn't until after I joined I actually really got a feel for, actually, I've got some goals I'd like to achieve, and I can start discussing that with different chamber members.
And what's been the biggest benefit to you as a business from being part of the Chamber?
I think coming out of the corporate world and then setting up a new small, medium-sized business, that your support structure is taken away from you, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, what do I do? And then suddenly being introduced to all these other entrepreneurs who are in the same boat as you, who can help you, who will lean in and collaborate with you, has been fantastic for us.
Mm-hmm. So learning from others and having a support structure once you leave the corporate world, huge benefits there.
Yeah.
And how about for you, Robert?
Well, the same as you. Corporate world, yes, you're used to all the support, teams in place, marketing in place. You start a business and suddenly it's like, right, so marketing, oh, that's me. Sales, that's me. Design, oh, actually, that's my wife because she's good at that, and she's got a little bit of time for that. But I think it's all of that. It's all of that. And when I joined the Chamber, I did come up with one goal for my far UVC light, and that was to get in with a very large airport in West London. It's already been mentioned.
Who could that be?
I think it was mentioned earlier. I'd love to get in front of Heathrow Airport with my far UVC lights, and that came over time. We worked different ways, and I had to get some parts in place before I could even have that conversation. But yeah, that was a major benefit for me, and that came through the Heathrow Business Summit. Getting literally, as Alan said previously, on a pedestal and a conversation with Heathrow Airport, and help then with the actual communication with them, getting direct as opposed to wondering, how do I open these doors on my own? Impossible.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that a little bit more, because it's very interesting, this idea of raising your profile a little bit. I know for myself, my experience with the Chamber, I was asked to speak at the Festival of Business and do the closing talk and then the opening talk, and just getting into that environment with 400 people there in front of a room of 50 or 60, it was a chance to talk about my own products and services, and I know the benefits of that. How has that helped you?
Oh, look, the brand recognition has been fantastic. So we've taken speaker slots as well, and it's been a fantastic opportunity for us to launch our new AI consultancy, because obviously that's where it's all happening in the digital world at the moment. And the brand recognition we've received has been fantastic. And I was talking to someone the other day, and I thought, oh, you don't know who I am. He said, no, you're at the Festival of Business. You've got that blue brand, haven't you? Which I thought was just a lovely way of just like, they do know who we are.
Yeah. Wonderful. And for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, obviously brand recognition as well. LinkedIn, social media. I went in for the Business Awards last November, West London Business Awards, and became a finalist. And then you can put that up on your LinkedIn profile, and it's just with your own networks. It just creates new conversations, new interactions, credibility, some joking, everything, and it's great. It just helps with all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find it really interesting when you go somewhere and people recognize you in the local community, and you're like, where do you know me from? Oh, you spoke at that event, and I remember you from that. So that was nice. So that's one benefit of it. Let's talk about the topic of networking a little bit, because there is this idea of what the chamber is and the networking side of it. What's your view on networking, and how can new members do that well?
Okay. I think the important thing about networking is to appreciate that it takes time to build relationships. It takes repetition. Nobody wants to go to a networking event and have business cards thrust in their face. People are there because they genuinely want to make connections with people. So for us, we learned very quickly that we couldn't do everything. So we have to work with a graphic designer. We need to work with a photographer. We need to work with a videographer. We need to work with copywriter. So having the opportunity to go to the networking events and seek out potential collaborators is as important to us as finding new clients or potential and getting referrals.
So it's not just about going and getting sales, it's about building that ecosystem of partners and suppliers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen in one hit. It's a long ongoing process.
Definitely.
Excellent. What about you, Robert?
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I think in my early days in sales and marketing, I thought I'd go to networking events, exhibitions, etc., and sign up clients there and then, and come back with a list of leads, if you like. Very quickly learned that is not how it works. It all does take time, but I think as long as each event you go to, each interaction that you attend, you have something in mind. Could be you're looking for a graphic designer, or I'm looking for a patent lawyer. Look at who's going, suss out who's going to be there, who are the people I'd like to interact with, and see what happens.
Yeah, be intentional.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
Be
important.
intentional. Yeah.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I
You're in
like
marketing.
that. Be intentional.
That's good.
We might have to use that somewhere. So we're talking about developing these relationships. So let's talk about following up. Once you go to an event and you meet some people, what are some of the actions that you would advise somebody took after an event?
I would always follow up. The magic happens in the follow up. So I mean, I will normally, if I've met somebody who I think is really interesting, and then I will take their card or their digital card, and then come home and say, well, is this somebody I need to follow up with on email or a phone call or LinkedIn? There's lots of different ways you can follow up. But if they're a potential collaborator or a potential referrer for us, then I'll always arrange a one-to-one. And make sure I have, whether it's a virtual cup of coffee or a physical cup of coffee, just to get to know them and their business a bit better, and to give them an opportunity to ask a little bit about us and how we work. So yeah, that's what I'd very much advise, because that's how it happens.
So follow up via email or call,
or LinkedIn,
and arrange a one-to-one if you think there's some potential business. And then after that, how often do you keep in touch, or does it depend on how the one-to-one went?
It depends on how the one-to-one goes, and it depends on how connected you feel. If I've got an urgent need, so if I'm looking for a copywriter and I've met a copywriter and I've followed up, then I'll keep on following up. But maybe I've met somebody who's a potential referrer, interesting person, and I'll just make sure then at each networking event I'll seek them out and go and say hello. If we're together in the same area, I'll say, let's meet for a coffee. And I will definitely make sure that obviously being a digital marketer, I'm connected with them on LinkedIn. I'm connected with them on Facebook. I post regularly, hopefully helpful and interesting information that just helps keep us top of mind.
Yeah, I like that, because I think one of the mistakes I see people make, for me, is they send information out, newsletters and so on, and they just talk about themselves, and there's nothing either educational, informative, engaging, funny, personal. It's just more of a sales pitch, and I like the idea of providing some value when you keep in touch with people.
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's very good, very helpful. Robert, I'd like to know more about how you developed your product, because to get into a business like Heathrow, a huge organization, isn't easy. So it's not just about meeting them. You had something that they wanted. So just tell us a little bit about how you developed your proposition and what members can learn from that.
So Human Sunlight was originally set up by myself in 2020, late 2020. And the original idea was to patent far UVC light and literally come up with our own version of the technology to go into various products. That was the original idea. That's not what happened. So over the 3.5 years to now, I've put Human Sunlight into 2 different areas. We've got the patents, we've got the product development, we've got the R&D going on, but we've got, in the meantime, we need to eat, and we're not a funded business. So the other part of Human Sunlight is about me personally sourcing different products from different manufacturers in different countries that I know people in this country are looking for. So I'll give you some examples. So for Heathrow Airport, they came to see me at the Heathrow Business Summit. I was with a UK manufacturer there, and we had various products. But what they were looking for was something different to what we had there. So I set to, after the interaction with Heathrow, to look at, it's actually a light version of a hand sanitizer. So instead of rinsing your hands with liquid hand sanitizer, you place your hands into far UVC light, 5 seconds, you're sanitized. This is what Heathrow was interested in. So I'm still working with the UK manufacturer to develop that product, which is probably about 6 months away. But in the meantime, I've sourced a product in Denmark, which is built and ready to go. I've got all the import stuff into place. So we're going to bring a couple of machines across, free of charge from the manufacturer. Very important when you're a small business. Don't want to be paying for these things. One will be going into Heathrow and one will be going to a big train station. That's going out through a big facilities management company, which I also met through the Chambers. So it's, from my perspective, it's very much, it does twist and turn. What does the customer want? It goes on from what you were saying about after you've met someone at any event. Yeah, you can send them the email and then you have a conversation. But what you're always trying to do is work out, who is this person? Can I do something to help them or their business? What might that look like? And then start to work on it.
I like that very much. I like the fact that you found a way to develop a product, but in the meantime, you had to put food on the table, and you very cost effectively developed something that you could offer and make some money from. And I like the fact that you had this idea that you're going to work with a UK manufacturer, but you've got the intermediate solution of a product in Denmark.
Absolutely.
And then I think the point you made about the following up, which we talked about, the importance of that, but then how can I help and give that person something? Because it doesn't cost too much to give them an introduction. And without any expectation in return, that's when the magic happens as well. So I think there's a lot that we can take from that. And the Chamber helps facilitates these relationships, making connections, connecting you with big companies and small. It's very difficult to find a similar organization so well connected. But at the same time, we each run our own businesses and they're supportive of us. So there's a lot there that we've all benefited from. So if I was to ask you for one tip that you would give a new member of the Chamber, what would that be?
I would say start with the networking events, be intentional, and go enjoy it and follow up.
Excellent. Like that.
I would say I'm a bit biased on this one because it's exactly what I did. I joined the chamber with one single goal in mind: to get in front of Heathrow Airport. And that didn't happen immediately. We worked on it and it did happen. Time. It does take time. But have a goal. But when you join, have a goal.
Yeah.
Work back from that.
Yeah. So you were intentional and single-minded, and you got the result.
Yes.
And you attend a lot of events, you follow up, you've got the brand out there, you've got business.
Yeah, and we work with some great partners now. We've got business from it. We've got brand awareness, and as I say, we work with some great partners too.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the best events that you've been involved with the chamber?
I love the awards.
Yeah.
That's always great fun. It's a great opportunity to get dressed up.
Yeah.
I always enjoy the Festival of Business. I think that's really, really exciting. But I've also really enjoyed the new Women in Business networking that Sally was talking about earlier on. It's a very different style of networking. Quite surprised me. But yeah, no, that's been really, really fruitful for us.
Why do you enjoy that so much?
There's a different energy in the room, as Sally says. Women work in a slightly different way to when there's a mixed group. The noise level is something else. But yeah, and yeah, I found that in those groups, again, people they want to get to know you very, very much, and they want to talk to you. But the follow-up is really quick. You get really good leads from the women in the women's group. So yeah, no, it's been very good for us.
Excellent. So how about yourself? What's the best event that you've been to with the chamber?
The highlights. I mean, there are so
highlights,
many. I mean,
yeah.
we get the emails come through each month. In fact, sometimes I think each week. There's so many different events, and picking and choosing the highlights for you. But for me personally, the Heathrow Business Summit that I did through the West London back in November. I have to say that because of what's coming out of that right now. But the awards. It's just really nice to put on a penguin suit that you don't normally get to do, get people together. The last event in November, I took my in-laws, my wife, one of my sons, and my wife's niece. Because we're a small company, again, there's only me. Well, and my wife, of course. But yeah, we don't have staff at this point. So we made it a nice big event for all of us. And it was amazing to be out and rubbing shoulders with the hoi polloi.
Okay, excellent.
I've got to mention one other thing, which of course the charity golf day, which is always great fun. I'm not a golfer myself, but my husband takes out a 4-ball and thoroughly enjoys his day. And then there's a fabulous dinner, charity raffle, fantastic opportunity to meet a huge range of people and great fun.
Yeah, well, I've been at the last few golf days, and I thoroughly enjoy them as well, and I'm a keen golfer, as you may know. So I think that's a great way for people to connect and bond, and we want to get more women into the sport, and we're looking at organising events for them, helping them understand the power that sports and entertainment can offer them. And I agree with you both about the Business Awards. That is one of my favourite events of the year. Such a good vibe and nice people, and you do get the good and the great from the community. Everyone comes to the Business Awards, so that's a terrific event. And the Festival of Business as well. It's so diverse, it's so international. You can have people selling tomatoes from Morocco on one stand and local accountants on the other. So it's all sorts of people. But I think it's a wonderful community to be part of. And for new members, it's about getting involved. It's about going to events. It's about building a network of suppliers and partners. And I think it's about what you can give the chamber as well as what you get, because that's how you will get seen and known and people understand your character and your business. What would you say members can give the chamber?
I think there's quite a few things. Obviously, well, for us today, being part of this podcast, yes, it's benefiting us, but we're giving information for new members. There's quite a few things. I think as well, it's the interaction, as we were saying earlier, between ourselves and the chamber. So it's a two-way conversation. So we're gaining something from the chamber, but also giving everything we can. If any time Alan has come to me and said, would I like to be involved with something, or could I help with something? Because I don't always know what I can do to help, but the chamber do come to me as well and say, Rob, could you look at this, or would you mind doing that? Some of the trade missions that have come in over the last sort of 6 months, I've been invited to go to nice embassies in central London and meet up with trade delegates. I'd never done that in my life before. My career had never gone that way, and it opens all those different doors as well. So it's a lot of fun.
Excellent, great. And you, Nikki?
And for me, it's about content. The chamber, they produce fabulous newsletters with an awful lot of content in, but a lot of that content comes from their members. So Sally's always looking for ideas. She's always looking for venues. So there are an awful lot of ways to help and chip in and give ideas and share content through the chamber.
Excellent, great. Well, it's been fascinating talking to you both. I've learned so much and I've really enjoyed it, and I hope to continue to see you at many more chamber events in the future and keep supporting the chamber, the great work, and we will keep supporting you. So thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.